Hey everybody, it's week 2 of Read With Me, and this week we're in chapter 2 of J.I. Packer's classic book, Knowing God. At the end of the chapter on page 32, Packer makes a very helpful point. He says we need to evaluate ourselves and really take stock and be honest with how much do we really know God. Then he recommends the first step for improving and growing in our knowledge of God. But the question I'd like us to think through this week is what makes it so difficult for us to evaluate ourselves when it comes to our knowledge of God? And is there a connection between what we think of God, our thoughts toward and of God, and our ability to know and enjoy Him? I think that there is. Well, on another wonderful book, on page 32 of that book, there's one of the reasons why we might struggle with this. I'm talking about volume 2 of John Owen on communion with God. And just to put a little plug in right now, Banner of Truth has a great Christmas sale on the works of John Owen. You can see that in the background, ding, on the works of John Owen there on my shelf. Great body of work, rich theology and doctrine. Anyways, back to what Owen said. Owen said on page 32 of his classic work, one of the reasons why we struggle with our knowledge and our delight and our enjoyment of God is this. He says, quote, "Men are afraid to have good thoughts of God. They think it a boldness to eye God as good, gracious, tender, kind, loving. I speak of saints." What he's saying there is that oftentimes Christians have a hard time with thinking good thoughts about God. They think that God is far off from them, that God lacks love toward them, that they have to do something to earn God's favor. This can be from a variety of reasons. Maybe they grew up with not a good father, so they've never seen what a good father and his love for them could be like. And then they project this onto God. Maybe it's a lack of knowledge or theology about who God is. But there is truth to this. So many times people struggle with having good thoughts about God or toward God. They don't realize how good God is, how lavish His grace and love is, and how much He has demonstrated and poured out and lavished His love and His goodness on them as Christians. I hope that as we continue our study of knowing God together, that you'll be able to grow in your knowledge of God. That's my prayer for you, along with Paul in Colossians 1 verse 10, that you would grow and increase in the knowledge of God, learning and knowing more about Him, His goodness toward you, and growing in your love for Him as well. God bless.